Hello, and welcome to week one analysis of the YouTuber League. My name is Formal, and I'm joined here today by Diaffle
Hello.
and Speedy.
Yellow.
Glad's not going to be here for this analysis video, so we're going to be doing the analysis video for him, and we'll be going through the games that were played in week one of the YouTuber League.
Some very exciting games.
Some very exciting indeed, and I think some broken records along there as well.
I think so. Without getting too far ahead, 6-0 is the largest win I've seen in a YouTuber League match.
Considering it was a bit of a longer week because of the holidays,
That's
it
true.
was a really messy league in regards of the blood and everything that happened on the
Yeah.
pitch.
But for all our viewers, though, we are back to weekly games now, so you'll have that to look forward to each week.
Yep, but we'll go ahead and we'll start down our breakdown of the first week's games, which was last week and technically the week before because it was a holiday break. So,
First
go ahead.
match, Murder and Sodas against the Elven Reich.
Humans versus the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves did win 2-0, and I mean, if you kind of look at the stats, it says it all. They did a very good job of keeping the Dark Elves away from the humans so that their armor does not break. The 4 armor breaks to the 7 armor breaks just kind of says
It says it all.
what was
There's
happening.
so few armor breaks, full stop.
I would definitely agree that, and in my mind, I think that nobody, like most people, expected the Dark Elves to win. Because I don't know how you think about it, but me personally, I feel that the humans, if you disregard the ogre, they are basically just a weaker version of the elves.
I definitely think so. Don't let Ronky hear you say that, though.
Romkey played the humans last. But if you kind of go into the statistics, the human teams succeeded on 24 blocks during that game.
And only 4 armors.
Only 4 armor breaks. 1 was a KO, 1 was a stunned, and 2 were badly hurt, injuries inflicted.
But yeah, you got semi-lucky. You only have badly hurt for the 2 actual injuries then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
meanwhile, yes. Sorry.
Even though he broke more armor, the Dark Elves only actually inflicted 1 injury. 0 KOs.
Yep. Which means that 6 of those were stunned. So out of the 7 armor breaks, only 1 badly. No, it was a missing next game for his blitzer.
Bit below average.
I just want to point out when I speak about the humans being weaker, that has nothing to do like me talking about humans being absolutely ridiculous race. I feel the humans are the best race for new players and so on. But the Dark Elves are heavily focused on destroying humans, in my opinion.
I think they're pretty well equipped for it.
Well, it was a really intense match. The Murdering Sodas, the humans, barely got possession of the ball. 6%, I think that's a turn, if that.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that is.
Where the Dark Elves had the ball 43% of the time, 6% was on their own half, which is a single turn. So the Dark Elves were playing in the humans' back line.
Yeah, the humans
never just looking at the statistic.
Give a half.
Just looking at the statistics, I would say that humans had some. I didn't saw the match, unfortunately, itself, but I would say that humans had some really unlucky rolls. Because the statistics, speak much in favor to the Dark Elves.
Gotta go all the way back to the main menu.
Yeah, I know. I kept clicking that. The gear. You'd expect the settings to be in the gear. Apparently not.
And also one thing to point out, which also speaks a huge plus to Dark Elves, they were actually, at the end of the match, they were actually able to level up 1 of their players, which is good for Dark Elves. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for humans, but look, it's still week 1 and they have a lot of matches ahead of them, and
Oh yeah.
they can make quite a strong team out of humans.
Not a
There's
bad
still
level either.
24 games to play. This is week 1. A loss here does not mean what's going to happen for the rest of the season. They didn't really lose anything out of this game, so the humans just have a loss on record. That's about it. They did gain 9 SPP out of this game, 5 of it being the MVP, which did go to a blitzer, which, if you ever play humans, is like one of their staple pieces. Meanwhile, the Dark Elves did have 15 SPP, and it did go to one of his blitzers, which he did take a move up.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
not
a
bad.
really nasty piece right now because it could move very fast, has block right off the bat, and it could definitely be a detriment to a lot of teams going forward.
Definitely. But both teams played well. Both teams got out relatively unscathed. One missed next game. That's not particularly bad.
It's his blitzer though, so that could definitely be a factor going forward.
Yeah, and the movement. So,
Yeah, and he also got 2 SPP on his ogre, which is a really good startup.
Yep. 2 more injuries caused by that ogre, and they'll have a level up, whether it's guard or a double for a block.
Or maybe he could do some touchdowns. I saw that thing happen.
Yeah, with that much speed, they're gonna be start to get quite scary. Slowly get there based on week 1, but they will
He can
eventually.
catch it. He can pass a ball, then do a touchdown, and boom, he's level 2.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fair.
Good game from both.
All right.
Next match.
Next match is the Sour Gummies, the Underworld team, versus Older Than Dirt, the Undead team.
Yeah, Undead losing to Necro. Oh, not Necro.
Underworld.
Yep.
I think the predictions were in favor of the Undead team.
I wasn't part of the predictions. I definitely would have assumed an Undead win there.
However, it was a really intense match, even just looking at the stats. The Undead team succeeded in 53 blocks,
50.
causing 4 injuries and 1 KO.
My
Of
God,
the
that's
injuries
huge.
that are caused, one was a minus movement to a goblin and a missing next game for a Skaven lineman. The goblin, no big deal.
Yeah.
You
That
can
was a
replace him.
hard-earned victory.
Yeah, even if you don't want to keep that Gobbo, I know they're 30k for. Are they 30 or 40k actually?
They're 40k.
Yeah, it's not a big loss.
It's not
and
bad.
You can keep him for now. It's bad.
Yeah.
Good enough
But
that you could keep him.
He's missing one of his non-stunty pieces for next game. That Skaven lineman is one of the staple pieces for an Underworld team. Now he's going to have to replace it with a loner goblin instead. And that could definitely cause an issue.
That is that weakens his team because, as we know, the goblins have only strength 2 compared to Skavens, who actually, I believe, they have strength 3.
Strength 3.
Yeah, they are strength 3.
Yeah, that can be a difference in many matches.
Yep, and I believe that the Underworld team is playing against the Dwarves next game, so they just have to survive. Out of the 13 armor breaks that the Undead team had, 4 were injuries, 1 was KO. That means 8. Wait.
Hold on, semi-bad luck in its block as well.
Yep. There was 8 injuries that just were stuns. So, fairly unlucky there. Meanwhile, the 6 armor breaks caused by the Underworld team, 3 were stunned, 2 were KO'd, 1 was an injury. That is usually the spread that you want when you're breaking armor. So,
stuck though, did it?
Nope, it was just badly hurt. The Undead definitely came out unscathed. The Undead team did come out with 13 SPP out of there. No levels. The Underworld came out with 12 with the victory.
No levels for them either, though, was it? It's still 1,000. He's not done it.
Just checking the ball possession, and like on the ball position only itself, it looked like a very even game because the Underworld has 37% and the Undead had 31, which looks like they were like I don't know if they probably didn't fight as much for the ball as they were probably just each half they were trying to push towards the finish line.
Yeah.
So I assumed that was the case.
And the Undead
if you kind of look at the passes by the Sour Gummies, there were 2 passes, 2 successful catches. They were very short passes, a total of 10 yards passing.
Really?
That still surprises me. Obviously, they're not exactly built for the passing game.
No, they are a Skaven thrower to a Skaven lineman.
Yeah. It's still just average, 3-3, no abilities.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a pretty tough team. I do think that once the Undead start getting those abilities, start getting those skills, they'll be one of the best developed teams in the game. They did get more SPP out of this game, even though they lost. However, going forward, I definitely think that they have a strong advantage.
That's true, and
Yeah,
that could actually be a valuable strategy.
It's not that. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. I was gonna say there could be a viable strategy for teams early on, is to actually sort of not give up the match itself, but put that on the back burner. That's your second priority. First is just get the SPP, especially for such a long league.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that
we'll have a true example of that later on in a later match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the SPP difference, even though it's not that big a difference, it's like the Undead has like one more SPP than the Underworld. I would say that the Undead definitely deserve to have more SPP considering how many blocks they actually inflicted.
Yeah.
The injury dice were not in their favor, though. Most of them were stuns. If he would have caused more injuries, this game would have gone a completely different route.
Yeah, definitely.
The Undead could have definitely either tied it up or even stole away with the victory.
Yeah, and gain some more players.
Exactly. And like the whole part about this, though, and something that we've noticed, is that Nuffle had a huge hand in a lot of the games this week.
Yeah, week 1, Nuffle's having a field day, and week 0.
Oh, yeah.
Spoiler until week 2, you get ready for
no
week 2.
Spoilers there yet. We're not talking about week 2 yet.
Nope, only week 1.
All right. But let's go ahead and continue. It was a great match by both of you. I think that's Pig Dog with the sour gummies. And Wog with the older. The next game is Pirate Joe's Helsing's Abridgment Vampires and Crash Force the Orcs, coached by Doppelfire.
And I didn't get to watch this game, but did just watch Doppelfire just there.
Yeah, so I did watch this game, and there was a moment in it where Pirate Joe... I actually posted something in Doppelfire's stream. I'm like, when will Pirate Joe learn that vampires are so dysfunctional? And Doppelfire read it into the stream, into Pirate Joe, and then his vampire bloodlusts.
Oh, nice. So you jinxed him.
So,
not Nuffle. It was you that time.
Not Nuffle. I jinxed him. And he could definitely get his revenge in a couple weeks here once he faces me.
Yeah.
But looking at the stats, like all things considered, the vampires had those armor breaks. They definitely had it set to definitely run away with it. However, again...
They had the armor breaks, but the ball position basically talks in favor of the Orcs.
The Orcs were definitely playing the ball. 81% of ball possession. That means for 80% of the game, I think that's what?
80% of the
24
game.
turns?
If you count the 81%
turns?
Plus the 12% from the vampire, like how long was the ball on the ground? Like 1 turn, 2 turns, something like that.
Not even that. I think it was always in the possession of somebody. There might have been an extra turn given somewhere, but no, the ball was always in somebody's hand. There was never a time that the ball was on the ground. It was like the floor is lava with this ball. You don't want the ball on the floor. If you kind of look at the kind of the stats, though, Pirate Joe with the vampires did have 14 armor breaks, but there was only 2 injuries there.
Yeah, he got
2 injuries.
There.
That's 12 stuns.
Yeah,
that's horrible. That is horrible. And like I said, Nuffle definitely had a very heavy hand this week on the abilities and the skills of the teams. The coaches might be a really experienced coach that can play, but Nuffle was not having it.
I just seen the vampires dice or block dice. 22 skulls to 13 powers.
I would say the amount of blocks.
Just wait until we take a look at your game, Diaphel.
Yes, comparing the blocks, compared that they were made against the Orcs, I'm just baffled how many armor breaks they actually did.
Well, with the orcs, they had 11 armor breaks. 2 were injuries, 5 were KOs. That means they only had 4 stuns compared to the 12 stuns offered by the vampires.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm surprised that the vampires had more armor breaks compared to the very, like very tough orcs. What is their lowest armor rate?
8
Okay,
on a
Goblin,
thrower.
who is like,
Goblin is
Oh.
7.
yeah, the
8 for the
7, but
thrower, 9
that's
for
one
all the
goblin.
rest. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
never thought of gobos, so I forgot to consider them.
So, I mean, all things considered, though, there was a lot of armor breaks. It just was not going well for the vampires. They were cracking right through that armor, but they couldn't get any lasting injuries.
And no levels from either team, which is also unfortunate.
Was
Yeah, both
unfortunate, but it definitely does set up both teams going forward. The vampires, out of that game, they got 10 SPP, where the orcs, they grabbed 14. The thing is, the orcs do have a missing next game on alignment, which
That's not
is
too
not
bad.
a huge factor because a loner alignment is still good because it's an orc. It's tough, it's
Exactly.
going to be there on the front line, and because they're playing against the Norse next, should definitely be pretty good to have on that front line.
That is one thing I never actually thought of. The fact that Orc journeymen aren't the gobbo. It's the
Yeah.
lineman.
Oh,
That's
thank
one
God
of the
for the
nice
orcs.
things.
Yeah.
If the orcs had to have the goblin as
That
the
would be
journeyman,
horrible.
Oh yeah, they'd be a lot
yeah,
worse.
no, the orcs would be just by itself. The orcs would be a much worse
Like,
team.
if you would lose like 3 orcs, you could just give up. That would be it.
Yeah. Well, as Ronky's pointing out in the chat, they have played him, but we're not discussing that today, Ronky. But we are going to be discussing that game, Roger.
Yeah.
You're not getting out of that.
Yep. Ha. No avoiding it. So, great game to Doppelfire and good game to you, Pirate Joe. It was a fun game to watch, and we expect to see more from both of you in the future.
Definitely.
All right. Now we're on to our next game, the Itty Bitty Titty Committee, which is coached by JW Rules,
And that's
which is a halfling team, versus Storm Isle Abtilum de Roses,
I'm glad
the
you said
Chaos Dwarf team, coached by Johnny. This game, it was a slaughter. All things considered. Well, not really a slaughter in that aspect. There was only one lasting injury. It was a armor value to a halfling. The halfling has since been fired. But the worst part about this match, despite losing, all the SPP went
Oh wow.
to the star player.
Oh, yeah.
So
JW
literally zero
got
SPP.
nothing.
That's
Thing out of it.
painful to
The
see.
only thing that he got out of this match was having to fire a player and being down all that SPP going forward.
Yeah, week
He's
2-0.
nothing.
That's harsh.
From this game.
Oh.
So that's really, really rough. He is going into Malt's halfling team next week, so we'll definitely see how well he does.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
I would
interesting.
I would love to say something positive about the halfling match, but you will see the statistics and what happened, but that you can just say that the who is the player GW Rules.
GW Rules. Mhm.
He had a really tough match there. He got beaten by the Chaos Dwarfs.
Well, dwarves are naturally good against halflings, and it was probably really good that he got this game out of the way early. It was brutal. It was bloody. He didn't lose a whole lot, but it just was one of those I don't really want to be here type matches.
Is probably one of the biggest positives for this match for halflings, that they didn't lose as much as they could.
Like, spoiler, I just clicked on the MVP for Chaos. And he's got claws now.
He's got claws. I'm up against them next week. That's going to be fun.
It doesn't matter against Farewells.
No, except for my blitzers. But anyways, kind of more into the dice. The halflings did break armor 9 times. 7 of those were stunned. 2 were KOs. The dice were not having it for GW Rules. They really were not playing fair for him. And then on the opposite side,
they weren't bad.
Right. Yeah, just the dice by themselves, but trying to push through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the dice, if you have a whole bunch of dice, it matters where they're rolled and when they're rolled.
Oh.
I mean, the dwarves, the chaos dwarves, gotta pass off.
Have you seen
that?
That's D6s though. 19 ones to 7 sixes. That's really harsh.
I just wish there was like some in-game rule implemented where the star players could not get the MVP, because that just wasted MVP.
There will be, or there is in Blood Bowl 2016, the board game, of you nominate 3 players of your choice and then do a D3 to find out who gets it.
I don't really like that rule. I like it being random.
I like it being random of all of your rostered players.
All of your roster, including the dead players, but none of the star players.
Not the stars.
I don't know. I feel like the MVP should be earned, in my opinion. I feel like when you give it randomly to some player who might get like injured in the first round or something like that, that's really weird.
Yeah, well, it's how you do it, especially when you consider this as a board game that's been ported. You know, we don't get these stats, we don't track the dice.
Especially when you give the MVP to a dead player. That's like, I don't know, are you trying to like give him medal in memoriam or something? I don't know.
No, exactly. You just put it on his tombstone.
Yeah. I mean, kind of going, you know how JW rules, the halflings, they got 7 stuns. Well, the Chaos Dwarves had 8 stuns total. They also had 2 KOs and 2 injuries. One was badly hurt, and one was that minus armor value.
Yeah, so not technically dead, but good as dead.
Yeah, no, but like all things considered, the dice were not playing fair for the injury side of things in this game in total.
No.
All things considered, it was definitely more favored for the Chaos Dwarfs in the first place.
Yeah, I would say half.
But going forward, the JW rules with the halflings do have to kind of pick themselves up. Hopefully they can get a good matchup against the halflings next week, or even going forward after that. I know that I'm against the Chaos Dwarfs next, so they'll probably have a field day with me, but we'll see what happens.
And weekly predictions are done, so make sure to go check that out on the Like That YouTuber League channel. If you want to check those out and see the results roll in.
All right. Does anyone have anything else to say about that match?
Ouch, GW rules. History's repeated itself.
I think
actually, no, he's done better.
Speaks for itself.
He's done better.
I'm surprised that the Chaos Dwarfs were actually able to also do a pass.
It was a hobgoblin, probably.
Oh, yeah, that's understandable.
We can actually even check and see, due to SPP, who completed the pass.
No,
and nope, I can't.
You can't figure it out. Probably, and I don't know from the names who is who. So sorry.
No, it's okay. I can actually figure it out. The pass was passed to Valak Rudiger, and that failed. Never mind. Der Rudiger, that failed as well. So there was 2 passes at least. A third pass to Ik denk es ist Rudiger. He caught the pass. The one who actually threw it.
Yeah, that's
was Kain Anung.
Okay, so
I assume trying to say these names.
I know, right?
I assume the Kain Anung did the pass and also the score because he has a 4 SPP.
Yep, Kain Anung did complete the pass, and if I'm not mistaken, that is a hobgoblin.
Probably.
Check and roll it now.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a hobbo. All right, but moving on, because we kind of sat on that match for a bit for JW rules. The next game.
Wish you were High Elves against England's Knights.
Yep, Wish You Were High Elves, which is coached by Romkey, the High Elf, which is the Amazon team.
He's a High Elf in spirit.
Of course. The England Knights, which is the Bretonian team, and that team is coached by, and the name escapes me.
Same.
I'll find it in a second here. Grim.
Oh.
The Rats of last season.
Indeed. He's doing better already than last season, I think.
Yeah, his team's still alive.
Yeah, no one's died. Good job, Grim.
No one's died. This match definitely went to the Amazons. The Amazons kind of steamrolled the Bretonians.
I think if you would ask 90% of players who know at least something about Blood Bowl, everybody would go for the Amazon win.
Yeah,
it's exactly at the start of the league.
Yeah, I think Amazons are the best team to start with because they have just so many skills.
Yeah, Exactly. And Breton super
However,
hard at the start.
They do
yeah,
drop off.
but they're kind of reverse. Amazons are one of the best starting teams, but they fall off. Their players will run into injuries. That's where they kind of start to fall off. Meanwhile, the Bretonians, they start with very few good skills, and then they work their way up into a functional team.
Yeah,
And so it's kind of like one of the best starting teams to one of the most difficult. I'm not saying the hardest or the worst, but one of the most difficult to kind of get off the ground.
I just want to check. Yeah, Bretonians, they have 3 rerolls. That on most of the theme is absolutely fine number. On Bretonians, that's a low amount, but you cannot get more.
No, he even opted to go with only 2 of his blitzers rather than a full 4. And out of this game, none of his blitzers grabbed the SPP, which definitely kind of puts him in a bad place because 2 of his peasants, which are the linemen with Fend, grabbed the MVP and I think an injury.
I did watch
and
this
then
game,
a
and
blocker
grabbed
an injury.
we were literally telling him in chat, just have 16 peasants, because United's doing F4, mate.
Yeah. I've seen teams like that. I've seen an all snotling team. I don't know how they win games, but somehow they do.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Don't ask me. But looking at kind of the stats, the armor breaks, it was 12 armor breaks to 11. With the armor breaks that the Amazons did, they have 3 KOs, 1 injury. That means they had 8 stuns total. Again, the dice were not very favoring the injury rolls rolled by either team.
No.
With the 11 armor breaks by the Bretonians, the England Knights, they had 2 KOs, 1 injury. That means that they had 8 stunned as well.
What do you consider anything above 9 up in it? There's not quite 50%, but 40% should be better than a stun. And yeah, none of the games are really...
They're not really following that, yeah.
Especially when you consider, like, some teams are Mighty Blow. Like, the halfing
There's
tree.
not been a lot going so far, but we'll get to those because there has been quite a few deaths this season.
Actually, on the defense of the Bretonians, I gotta say I'm rather surprised it only ended to 1-0. I would kind of expect that the Amazon's gonna score like at least 2-0 or something like that. So good job on Bretonians that actually they were able like mitigate as much score as they could.
Yeah, and it was absolute the peasants that did it as well.
If you kind of look at the ball possession, the Amazons held the ball for 50% of the game. Quarter of that in their zone, quarter of that in the Bretonian zone.
Basically, Bretonians just
Bretonia picked up the ball for a turn. We need to get your players to go through a class so that they learn how to pick up the ball and handle it so they don't drop it. They did complete 2 passes. What?
Yeah, and
they
were peasants.
That's right. How?
That baffles me.
Peasants. He was just throwing it.
How? They have 2 agility. The peasant should not be throwing it.
They don't? No, they're free.
They made 3 passes. 1 was a failure. I think it was re-rolled. And then there was 2 catches. The person who was passing it was Boris the Younger.
I'm also trying to figure out.
Had caught it.
I'm trying to figure out since they have they have 6% ball possession, and they did 2 passes. How the hell did they pull that off?
They got blitzed or dropped it immediately after.
Yeah, I have to work out what percentage of the 32 turns 1 turn is.
Well, Boris the Younger, the people who made the pass, a blocker made the pass. So that's how he got the 2 SPP. He didn't cause an injury. He passed the ball. So Boris the Younger was the ball passer. He passed it to Lancelot, who's a blitzer. And then he also passed it to Lucien, who's another blocker. So the Bessons weren't handling the ball. But yeah, the ball possession was really low for the Bretonians.
It was a close one for the 2-0 as well, but he just about managed to get I think he 1-died and got both down against the ball carrier, which wasn't a blitzer, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, really good on Grim for holding that to a 1-0. He did a really good job. All things considered, the Amazons are one of the nastiest teams to fight until they start seeing tackle, and then they just crumple like paper. So you actually did a really good job, even though the score doesn't say you did. we still know that you did a really good job playing that game. So good job on you. And Romkey, congrats on your win.
Yep. Imagine how well you would have won if you were high elf.
Yeah, imagine if you would have won. It would probably been a 6-0, like a certain game.
I know I've had it on screen a few times, but spoilers. We haven't discussed it yet.
The next game was the Guddleton Carnage, which is the vampires coached by Gamba versus the Combat Evolved Lizards. The Lizardmen coached by Gladiator.
So.
I watched this game. This game should have ended up with a 2-0. However, the vampires got a really cheeky touchdown at the end of the game. But as you can see on the left-hand side, the MVP was the dead player.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that symbol means dead.
Yep. His name was Steve, and you know Gladiator hates Steves. So he went straight after him, made sure that Steve was dead.
I didn't get to watch. Did he actually target him?
Wait until Glad learns that Steve actually came back. But kind of in the same aspect, though. He did foul a vampire as well, and the vampire did get movement down. Gamba has fired that vampire.
Even with the, assuming the vampire didn't take any of those SPPs, still got out with 8. That's not bad.
He got out with 8 SPPs. They're all on vampires, I believe.
Even better.
So,
no, actually, Sir Crentis. Have a look at his...
Those are all vampires.
They are.
So, yep. So none of the thralls took the SPP. So all things considered, his SPP are exactly where he wanted them. Although the MVP should have been a different player. It would have been better.
Oh, definitely. But again, not bad. Not halfling 0 SPP bad.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Gladiator did score a touchdown with a Saurus, who caught the ball on kickoff. With a Saurus. So we got a Saurus with a touchdown. Huh?
That's a 6.
Yeah, that's a 6+, and he caught it.
Nuffle.
I know. Nuffle was definitely playing with Glad here.
Did he caught it inside a touchdown zone?
No.
Wow.
It was a kickoff.
Yeah,
and it bounced to him.
From the kickoff.
And he caught it.
Okay.
And he just pushed through with that Saurus.
And then what? Then he spent next 5 turns running to the touchdown?
Pretty much.
They have 1 agility.
He wasn't dodging. I can tell you that.
But they still have 6 movement. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, they're really fast.
Once you get the ball, you just power and punch your way through because obviously your strength 4, movement 6.
Yeah, if Soros gets ball in hand, it's really hard to.
And like we've been kind of saying about how Nuffle was favoring players, even if you just look at the injury rolls caused by the Lizards, they had 12 armor breaks, 6 stuns, 3 KOs, 2 injuries inflicted. One was, I don't think that counts foul, so those were both badly hurts.
Yeah,
and then
wouldn't know.
And then a dead thrall.
I gotta say, it's really painful to see Saurus with a ball in hand, because then you have to decide, do I want to still keep killing his skink so he has nothing, or do I gonna try to stop that stupid Saurus with a ball?
Depends on game.
It's a really hard decision.
If you think you can outscore the 1 touchdown he's gonna get with that Saurus, go kill all the skinks so that he can't do it again without rolling yet another 6.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what happened. He was trying to set up a screen just to kind of slow him down, kind of stop him. And I think that's where Gamba's vampires just got kind of torn apart. The vampires did complete 3 passes, though, so they did get quite a bit out of it. They had 9 armor breaks.
How many passes he got, actually? He could have potentially fought. Vamps are strength 4 as well.
Yeah, they are strength 4, so they're one of the best pieces to actually fight against the Saurus. But again, it was 4 vampires versus 6 Sauruses and skinks.
Oh, you got 4 vampires.
Did the vampires got any blood loss during the match? Do we know that?
Yeah, you can check it on
if you go to the dice rolls, you could just go, the bloodlust succeeded 32 times, failed 5 times. That's 86%, exactly where you would expect it to be.
Yeah, so 5 failed bloodlusts.
Wow.
One of the bites that he did make was a badly hurt. So,
unfortunate.
That kind of put him down a thrall for the rest of the game. And if you look at the armor breaks caused by the vampires, they had 9 armor breaks. Again, 5 were stunned, 3 KO, 1 injury. These dice were a little bit better than any of the other previous games, but it just wasn't enough to kind of pull through. However, after as a team who has lost, because he did score that touchdown, he is placed higher than any of the other team who has lost and didn't score a touchdown.
Yeah.
So even though his team got absolutely kind of mauled through this game with a fired vampire, with a dead thrall, Gamba is sitting pretty.
Not
I'm
yet.
just looking at the dices and like the vampire spouse and then the weaker spouse with the dodge. I don't know how they're called.
Stumbles.
If you count stumbles, if you count them together, they're still less than the amount of pows the lizardman had. That's absolutely.
Well, it's just the amount of blocks.
If you check the d6s for the Vance, 37 ones, 29 sixes. That's pretty bad.
Nuffle was definitely favoring the lizards here. And I know Glad's a good coach. I know he knows how to play him some lizardmen. So
indeed,
he's definitely going to be a force going forward.
Yeah, if you give lizards to a really good coach, then you have to really fear them.
Oh yes, they get scared.
Or just hope that Chaos has enough claw mighty blow piling on.
Well, unfortunately, that I don't know if you would consider it spoiler. The Chaos are fighting them in the week 2s, and they.
All right. Well, we gotta hope for Nurgle then.
Yeah, Nurgle can do it.
But
or Chaos Dwarfs, they got tackles, so they better deal with the skinks.
Kind of stepping back, Gamba is a really good coach. He did take a year off from playing Blood Bowl, so he's probably getting those cobwebs out. But he is definitely experienced. I know he's going to be able to pop back from this. So expect a really nasty vampire team going forward. And he does have a deeper bench now with 12 players, only 3 of them being vamps, so less bloodlust.
And that is what a lot of vamps will do, is start low.
Just checking, and Gamba next week is playing against the Kislev, so that's really something to look forward to.
That's a good match to kind of rehabilitate, probably get some SPP, maybe
get your footing back together.
Exactly, but again, we kind of talked about that in the predictions video. So let's go ahead, and we'll move on to the Nuffling.
Oh my god!
I want the Nuffling. Okay, yeah, that was. I'm not complaining, but yeah, that was
100% a Nuffling.
I mean, this is nothing against Roger, but we spoke about how the Bretonians were able to defend against the Amazons. This is the absolute opposite. Yeah. This is overkill.
I think this is the highest scoring game out of any game in the YouTuber League. 6-0.
Joint with your 5-1, which I haven't got to yet.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But it wasn't one-sided.
Of course, the MVP goes to the player who we don't want to get the MVP.
Oh, I do.
What's even worse is both of his war dancers leveled up after this game, and they're both able to level up if they get more SPP next game.
Yeah, they're very close.
They're very built up. The Wood Elves got 27 star player points at the end of this game. However, they did lose a lineman, and they have one missing next game.
But I'm gonna give Roger that he had really unlucky rolls. I saw the first.
If you just go to his block dice, just go to his block dice. That's all you need to see, and that speaks volumes. He had almost more attacker downs than he had defender stumbles or pows.
Yeah,
that is ludicrous. That should never happen.
He did learn for the second half, though.
Huge dump over him in this regard. Like he got like double skulls to skulls and skull block. That was absolutely bonkers.
Yeah,
it was his very first turn. It was a skull, attacker down, into attacker down, and block. Or both down, and it's just like what?
I just ran
and then
through,
it just continued from there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not Nuffle, but at least he learned later that he has some block, use it. So he did mitigate it a bit more later in the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, all things considered, Nuffle was very kind with his armor breaks. He had 13 armor breaks. 5 were KOs, 2 were injuries, 1 is a miss next game, 1 was badly hurt, 1 is a dead.
Thankfully, Roger was able to pull one kill, so he gained one player to
He
his
did
team.
gain one
Yeah.
player. That's why he's not super far down.
With a fancy color, so that
With
boosts him
fancy
more.
color. But if you look at it, I think Nuffle favored Roger the most with his injury dice. 5 stuns to 5 KOs, 2 injuries, 1 kill.
Yeah.
So that's where Nuffle kind of gave back to Roger a little bit. But again, that 6-0, absolutely disgusting.
Again, when you check
very.
the main results, you'll see 7 armor breaks and 13 armor breaks. You would say, okay, he had a really good run. I would say the elves didn't go that much for the pause and anything. So
No, obviously that's not what
that's
a wood elf
why,
does.
that's
Yeah.
why wood elves have this low amount of armor break.
But I mean, kind of on that same note, for the armor breaks that the elves did get, they had 3 stunned, 3 KO'd, 1 badly hurt.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I think
So-
it regened as well. No. Yeah. Yeah. I
Was
think
if it
regened.
was an injury, it regened. We can check to see if it was the regeneration. But like all things considered, with that, the Nuffle gave into the injuries on this game.
yeah.
We saw
no.
the others how it was
No.
mostly stunned. Just
Yeah.
very favoring
Yeah.
injuries in this
No,
one,
it's-
even though it wasn't
The
super
mo-
high in the count.
The most painful thing
It was a
about
badly hurt.
this match for all of us, except for, of course, Devil, is that all the SPP went to the correct players,
Oh,
and that's really annoying.
you say that, but basically this is the downfall of the build I started with, is they are SPP hogs. So my linemen are going to struggle to actually get levels because the war dancers are hogging it all.
But the linemen are basically your cannon fodders. They
Yeah,
are
you don't
Yeah.
really need them.
skilled in-
But again, like you just said, this is the downfall of a Wood Elf team.
Yeah.
If either of your War Dancers go down, that's gonna cripple you. They're 120k.
Yeah, they're the same
So-
price as my trees.
Exactly.
But a hell of a
And you
lot
were
more
saving
likely to
up
die.
to get a tree, but you might not be able to. You did have 2 passes and 2 catches. They were very short passes, so they didn't offer a whole lot, except for probably movement.
Yeah.
Roger did complete 1 pass, again, 1 square apart for that 4 yards.
Yeah, that was
So-
on his turn 16. He was just doing it
And you
for-
want to know something funny? The character that threw that was the dwarf player that died on my team last season, like Superman. So a dwarf completed a pass, guys.
Technically.
Technically.
I'm so good. I
That's
couldn't
a
kill
ghoul now.
Spider-Man. 'Cause- on the plus side, I'm the only team, or the only player in Roger's team represented with old and new. He's got one of my current players and one of my old in Spider-Man.
Exactly. But I mean, it was a rough match. It was a good match. Don't get me wrong; it was a good match. There's definitely things that can be learned from just watching the replay of that match, figuring out where to place players, how to defend against the elf bullshit. Because
It's
what
good
happened to
bullshit.
me last season, I 4-0 against Malt with my dwarfs. Yeah, no, Nuffle definitely plays the hands. You just have to kind of stop the bleeding. But all things considered, Roger did come out a stronger team at the end of it.
That is true, yeah. He had no blasted injury, gained a player. I think he
And
unfortunately
a
only rolled
lot of SPP.
Yeah, I think he only rolled a 1 on his money, though. That is a little unfortunate. for
Yeah,
him.
he did. But that does put him into a good position going forward for his players, because I think both of his whites, or at least one of his white, is almost there to level up. So if he wants to be a little cheeky, he can even just do a quick
Yeah.
pass,
Yeah.
get that level.
In stage
No,
three,
his
it's
white's
not-
not the MVP, so he just need 1 SPP and he's dead.
Oh, sorry, Roger just correct me. You rolled a 2, not a 1.
Yeah, I rolled a 1. Ugh.
See, if you win,
Yeah.
you get to re-roll it. Because I rolled a 1 and then
I
re-rolled.
know, so that's why you want to win games, is people. All right.
But yeah.
Any lasting things on that match?
Uh,
Anyone?
Good game, Roger. I'm sorry Nuffle hates you. Please sacrifice something to her to appease her. Because if you've
Why
got
is Nuffle a
24
girl?
more games...
The only thing I would say, Roger, I was hoping you're gonna kill more of his dudes.
He did
Hey,
get
he
the kill.
killed 1.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
might start the Wood Elf curse over again. And he might just be another version of Ben. Season 9, he might not have a team left. We'll see.
Weak guy.
It might happen.
Please don't, please.
Please don't.
Please don't.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. The next game is the Aristoblins, which is the Goblins, which is coached by Speedy. and he was facing
Yeah.
off against the Red Ram serial killers, the Chaos team, coached by Thanex, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's Phoenix. I can.
Indeed, it
Yep,
is.
Sir Thanex. Yep. All right.
We just finished it this Friday, and let's me start that this match was all over the place,
How did he win?
and
Look at the armor breaks.
I'm
The
gonna,
armor breaks tells you.
I know, but how?
the armor breaks might speak in my favor, but I'm gonna exactly tell you how I win in the second half, and that was mainly because the Nuffle took a huge dump on Thanex, where he 3 turns in a row. He basically, in his first 2 turns in the second half, he got out. He lost all his rerolls because he had to use them, and then basically each turn his first block was skulls. Doubles. It was either double skulls or skull and the skull block.
I was just checking the dice rolls, and yeah, obviously out of context, it looks like you both just had average.
Basically, I kicked the ball in his on his half. He ran there with 3 of his beastmen, and he was standing right next to the ball, and he was ready to pick it up, but he never had the time to do it because he always failed on his block. And that's when I ran up there with 3 of my goblins, got rid of 1 of his beastmen, grabbed it, dropped it, and the touchdown. And that was the only reason I won. I fully expected for him to win, or it's gonna end up in a draw, especially when I lost my Looney like within the 4th turn or something like that.
Yeah, he's missed next game though, won't he?
Then on the start of the second half, where I didn't have Looney, I put the Fanatic on the field, and he got knocked out immediately.
Not just knocked out, the Fanatic got a niggling injury.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't miss
That is horrible, because the
out.
next game, as we already talked about, is against Speedy and Utiafel.
I know, and
Yeah.
a niggle on a Fnatic isn't actually
The
that
posi-
bad.
The positive thing is actually against Wood Elves, I need more the Looney than the Fanatic, because with the Fanatic, I'm only able to do anything when I roll POW. Otherwise, I'm just pushing the
POW or
God.
Stumble?
Yeah, I don't have
Except
dodge.
Yeah.
Or-
The stumble against the lineman.
Yeah.
But if I want to aim for the Ward Dancers,
No.
You wouldn't
First
even
off-
be able to touch them
Yeah.
in the first place.
First of all, Fanatic's never gonna catch him,
No.
and second of all, if he would by some miracle did, he need to roll POW, and that is so difficult. Especially, I remember perfectly my first turn.
He would have a 3 die
Yeah, I was
against.
gonna say it's
I believe-
7. 1v1,
I
you
can-
3 die in it.
I remember perfectly in my first turn of this match, I started with the Fanatic, and he rolled push, and then he moved, and that was it. I was like, oh, great start.
Hey, at least it didn't
That's how the
strangle himself
Fanatic
to
kind of
death.
does. It's high risk,
Yeah,
high
I did.
reward.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of his stick. Let's go ahead and just kind of taking a look at these. The armor breaks offered by the Chaos, they had 9 armor breaks. 3 were stunned, 3 were KOs, 3 were injuries. One was
Statistic.
badly hurt.
Yeah.
Hmm?
but
I
looking at
would
the
say that-
statistics, what are blocks succeeded then? Is
Uh,
that putting them down on
successful
their ass?
blocks.
Or just...
Those don't necessarily mean, those just mean you didn't get an Integra down or a Bolt down if you didn't have block.
Okay.
Block succeeded just means that you either pushed them, defundable, stumbled, or POW.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Just
just
that's
double
a
checking.
successful block.
Yeah, that's a high amount for how few armor breaks he had with double armor. That's what I was just
Although,
checking,
look at
pushes
the
counter.
other side. The Goblins almost made as many blocks as the Chaos.
Yeah, that shouldn't have happened.
That is obscene. Just
Again,
look at
that
it.
was
13 armor
main-
breaks, although
again,
10
that
of
was
those were
mainly-
stunned.
Again, that was mainly because, as I said, Thanex had like 3 turns where he did nothing because he couldn't do anything because he was out of rerolls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Rerolls are
How many
everything,
did
and
he-
that's kind of the point that comes up.
how many
but
he started
I mean,
with? 2 or 3? Oh, let's have a look. He
I
started
believe
with...
he
did do a
He
3-man
just-
start, or 3 reroll start.
but kind of going back to that same note, Thanex, if you do level up one of your beast men after next game, even though it might not be recommended or anything, I would suggest taking Sure Hands. That way you can pick up the ball and you can do something with it. Not being able to do anything because you can't pick up the ball or because you're just failing to block somebody makes it really tough.
Yeah, build one as a ball carrier, or
I would-
maybe wait until you get an AG up and then make that a ball carrier.
I gotta say, I would almost say that the Thanax came out of this match with the upper hand. First of all, I did 2 injuries, but they were no like long-term effects. So
They were
his
just
team
badly
is
hurt.
Yeah, I
complete-
just checked
yeah,
his
they're
roster,
completely
it's full
fine.
HP.
The SPP is just 1 point different, so
Mhm.
that's still completely fine for him. And he has 1 SPP left to level up his Chaos Warriors, and then he has like 2 on his Beastman, and also another 2 SPP on his other Chaos Warrior, I believe.
Mm-hmm. It was 11
Close.
SPP to 12 SPP. But again, kind of the issue that you're running into is that your injuries are a little bit worse.
Yeah, you're
Got
taking
that
damage. He
Nickel
didn't.
fanatic
I got missed next turn on my
on-
Goblin who did a touchdown, so he won't be able to level up. Then
Nice.
I got the Blink injury on my Fanatic.
Better.
So I had 13 players, and now I have only 11 players. So I
Again.
have the full page, and if I'm gonna lose anything, I'm playing with a lower amount of players.
Oh, you'll always have the 11 as journeyman, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know, but I'm gonna have only a certain amount of bribes, if any. I'm still thinking how I'm actually gonna do the next match, so I'm gonna lose the secret weapons the moment somebody scores.
You're gonna get. What's your? That's prediction. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's still kind of a different thing.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to this game, the Goblins did win. The Goblins are a fun team. They're not expecting to win, but again, because Chaos, they do not come with any skills off the bat,
No.
except for Horns, which is only good for blitzes. So that makes them a really difficult team to start off against.
They
So
are the
the fact that
best.
the Goblins won
Yeah.
definitely puts them kind of up.
They
I
are
will
the
also
best.
say I believe Thanax was also unlucky on the winning roll. I believe rolled 1 or 2.
Ouch.
So
That's
that's
unfortunate.
also a shame he didn't get more money.
It's
so
a long
he
season.
would
He didn't lose anything,
yeah.
so he'll definitely make that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Not
he
bad.
would really probably could use some money to maybe get a apothecary, or he is planning actually to buy Minotaur in the future. So
Mhm.
that would getting more money would really help him.
Yeah.
More
that's
money
one
will
thing that would
help
be nice.
anybody.
Exactly. That's right.
All right, but
Yeah.
let's go ahead and unless anybody has anything else to say about that match,
Yeah,
we can go ahead.
I would just say that the MVP, MVP for the Chaos, is definitely good. It goes to the Chaos Warrior, which they want. My MVP went to a regular Goblin, to Johannes von Goopstein, who did nothing in the match.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, all things considered, it's gonna go to one of the players you don't want them to get. So, just kind of depends if you're able to make a pass. I know they have the Sunti, so that's less likely.
A
But
little bit.
even a leveled up Goblin, unless it's like something really
Oh,
good.
no, don't get me wrong, they're good, but I would say he got much better MVP than I did, so that I would
Oh
say,
yeah. Warrior
yeah,
versus
Thanix
Robbo.
lost, but I would say he come up really good out of this.
He won in spirit. Not in a league, but in
Mhm.
spirit.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna get to a game where that entire thing comes back up.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go ahead
We
and
got
we're gonna
one more
move to
game
the
before
next
that.
game.
Yeah. So we got
Oh, yeah,
Fighting
well-
Clowns.
The Fighting Clowns, which is the Kislev team, coached by I forget people.
I know. I need to write this down.
I have it written down, but I don't have it in front of me.
Just
Bright Ops, that's right.
Oh yeah,
Bright Ops. The Fighting Clowns, Kislev, broached by Bright Ops versus the KPG Rotterdam, which is coached by So Was Why Einfan, which is the Nurgle team.
Oh, I know. Yeah. You said this so weirdly
yeah.
for the way his name is actually
Yeah, I
said.
saw what was it, the second half of this match, and I'm actually rather surprised the way this match ended.
If you just kind of look at the armor breaks, it just shows that the Kislev was not trying to fight.
Exactly.
They were just getting destroyed. The thing about this match as well, though, if you look at the MVP in the bottom left, The Blitzer, Bozo the Clown, took 11 of the 13 star player points given to the Kislev team. That's huge. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want. Won it all on one player, just to kind of start with. So now he has a really strong player with dodge. Hopefully that can help protect him from teams in the future.
Yeah.
And again, because they are going into the vampires, that will help protect that Blitzer from the stumbles, as well as probably getting out. And because he has that leap, long legs, he definitely utilized it. You can't really cover against it very well. And that's why Kislev was able to edge out that 2-0.
Yep, just to those who didn't saw the match and cannot really tell from the statistics, the Nurgles wiped the floor with the Kislev, but Kislev was able to pull the victory. And personally, I would say that this is the most deserved victory out of all the plays that happened this week.
Bride fought for it. He fought for it, and he definitely deserves it.
You've got to with Kislev. They're such a weird and bad team.
They are a weird team. They're not bad. I want him to beat you. Okay, anyways.
He might. He's got more leaks than me.
The whole thing, though, is that there were 4 lasting injuries suffered by the Kislev. 4.
Ouch.
1, strength down. 1, minus armor value. And 2, minus move allowance.
That's all
absolutely brutal injuries suffered by the Kislev. However, that kind of works in their favor. They're going to have 4 loners for the next game. Guess who's going to be on the front line?
The loners.
Now, the only thing you have to hope for is that they're not going to suffer any injuries or get any SPP or get the MVP. If they don't get that, perfect.
4 of 11.
Like, if Bozo gets another MVP in the next match, he's level 3, and that would be perfect for.
Oh, chances are Bozo the Clown is going to score 2 more touchdowns, maybe
2 more.
But we're not talking about the next game.
I don't even know who they're playing next game.
They're playing against the vampires, the one with the 3 vampires, and the rest are. But all things considered, Nurgle also got out of this game really, really nice.
They have a lot of SPP.
Beast of Nurgle leveled up and now has guard, which will definitely benefit them against bashy teams. Because they're Nurgle, they're always good. They're already good against agi teams. Go ahead.
I was just checking how he got 6. So he inflicted 3 injuries by himself.
Yep.
That's
the
scary.
Beast of Nurgle has got 6 SPP just by injuries, and that's insane. And I believe he gave him the guard, I believe.
Yep, guard.
I was going to say after the stream I need to check what he got, because that's scary.
He has guard. I mean, all things considered, the Nurgle actually came out of this game probably a little bit better than Kislev did. Yes, Kislev has a really good player.
Like 4 stat downs.
Okay, they got a win. Nurgle got a loss. That's not going to mean a whole lot as the league continues. However, that is one less win that Kislev needs to make, and that's one more win that the Nurgle team is going to have to make.
That's true.
Nurgle definitely came up better out of this match, but I'm so happy for Kislev that they actually won.
Yeah,
everybody is rooting for Kislev. Yeah, Let's just put it there. It's a hard team to play.
I gotta say, it's not necessarily that I'm rooting. I would root Kislev.
You're against You think they're dumb. They're not the frogs.
No. I want to say that it's not necessarily I'm rooting for the Kislev from the beginning of this league. I rooted for them at the moment I saw at what state they were during the match. I was like, these guys really deserve the win for the stuff that happened to them. I would say something much more vulgar, but I don't want to.
Nah, you're good. No. So there was 16 armor breaks that the Nurgle inflicted. 6 of those were injuries. That means there were only 2 badly hurts out of those injuries. They had 3 KOs inflicted and then 7 stuns. So Nuffle definitely wanted to hurt Kislev here.
Also, one thing I want to point out, like the ball position is in favor of the Nurgles, so I'm really happy for the Kislev they pulled it.
Well, Kislev was able to get the ball off of Nurgle, and when they got the ball, they were usually on the other side. They were able to capitalize on that and score. They didn't need to hold the ball for very long, just enough time for them to be able to score.
Yeah.
Nurgle is a slower team, so they're not able to move as far or as fast.
What's the speed on
So
the
even if
water?
you look at the yards running, Nurgle had 32 yards, 0 touchdowns. The Fighting Clowns, Kislev, only had 26 yards. I think that's 26. Sorry, the 6 looks weird, and 2 touchdowns.
So basically, advice to fan in the future: try and move the ball out of your half of the pitch.
Yeah. But even then, depending on what picked it up, give it to a Chaos Warrior in a cage. Yes,
Yeah,
the Kislev can come hit you, but it's still do red die for him because of your strength 4 Chaos Warrior.
I don't necessarily remember what really happened, but I believe the Kislev basically grabbed the ball on the half of the Nurgle
and just run away.
pretty close to the touchdown line.
And if you've never played like Kislev in a friendly or something, they're a fun team to play. So just keep that in mind.
Oh, they just look fun. I love I love how the Kislev look.
I know, they're amazing frogs.
Yeah, they're amazing frogs. All right. So let's go ahead and we can move to our next match. We only have 4 more to go through. So
Arcade Haven against Radioactive Reagent.
Okay.
Yep, the Arcade Haven, the Skaven team coached by King of Cosmos, who is a new player, but he's definitely experienced, versus the Radioactive Reagents, the Pro Elves coached by me.
New to the league, not
Yeah,
a new player.
I just before you gonna explain your your view on the match, I just want to say this was the match I was thinking at first that this is the most scoring match in this week, and then
Would
the
have been.
Wood Elves happened.
Technically, there were 6 scores either way, so.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this game
Most scoring
alone.
game, most scoring team is me now. Just about beat out the Skaven.
Yeah, no, the Skaven scored 1 more star player point than Diaphal's team with 1 less touchdown. That says anything how this game went. But this game by itself, we had 49 star player points throughout it.
And only 2 levels of all that.
Only
and
2
both
levels
on the Skaven.
And both of
They're
Skaven.
both on gutter runners because they were the ones that were actually scoring.
That's even worse for everyone else.
It is very bad.
You think you don't like my war dancers getting levels? A gutter runner's gonna make you regret it even worse.
Yeah, no, gutter runners, they don't give 2 shits. They'll run right past you, won't even see them. One of them grabbed block, one of them grabbed wrestle.
Yeah, someone would almost say that there was only one team that was aiming for the victory. I would say that the other team just wanted to kill stuff.
Well, I mean,
elves,
all things considered. No, we're not good at that. But I had 13 armor breaks. I killed Galaga, so that's a game over screen right there. But the Nuffle was very kind for me for the injuries. I have an affinity for hurting rats. It's my thing. I had 13 armor breaks, 1 kill inflicted, 4 injuries, and 4 KOs. That leaves me with only 4 stuns.
Yeah, Nuffle definitely helps your injury dice.
Oh yeah,
Not
my touchdowns. It does not help my touchdowns at all, as we saw last season in the semifinals or quarterfinals. Black versus me, orcs versus dwarves. No.
And you also, I just checked, and you also caused a niggling injury on his storm vermin. I talked with King of Cosmos after the game. He didn't have enough money to replace the storm vermin, so he bought another thrower. But first chance he gets, he's gonna fire that storm vermin and purchase a new one. Yeah. So I did kind of hurt this team for
70k or 80k.
The Amazon Romkey, who's going against him next.
He basically lost 1 blocker, because I'm speaking about the block ability, but he replaced that with the gutter runner because that gutter runner will level up, and now he has block on that gutter runner.
Mm-hmm. He has block on a gutter runner and wrestle on the second one. And I mean, I did throw the first interception of the season. I'm sorry, guys.
At least it
I could have moved my guy.
Last season, it took like the final quarter.
Well, I mean, okay, I'm like, okay, looking at it, it's a 6+. This is fine. Rolls a 6.
Yeah,
Fuck.
16%
I would
chance.
say-
Otherwise, this game would have been 4-2. It
I
would have
gotta
been a
say,
lot
like,
closer, but
this-
that
this-
interception was an instant touchdown.
The Skavens right now have basically their own war dancer. Got a runner with dodge and block. How do you stop it?
Yeah, but bear in mind, they get 4. I only get 2.
They have 9 movement. That's insane.
Yep. That's, I mean, gutter runners, especially for the
Basically,
1-turn touchdown.
The
Well, I'm a
moment he
rat.
has the,
Yes.
the
I'm glad
moment
you
he
read
has
it.
the ball, you have to stop him. If you don't stop him, you lost. That's
The
Yep.
trick is
So-
actually stopping them, though. What's the 84?
AG4, they only have 2 strength, but they have dodge, they have block and wrestle, so bolt
And-
downs aren't going to affect them anymore, so you have to rely
Yeah.
on those POWs.
yeah, and
Or
luckily
have
he has
tackle.
only
Very-
7. He has only
Or have
7
tackle.
armor value.
Yeah, so if you hit them, they're more likely to go down. It's just a little bit harder. But yeah, I got absolutely stomped. However, I come out of that game with 21 SPP, no lasting injuries, but
No.
I only rolled a 1 on my winnings, so I still can't afford them apothecary.
Ouch.
Yeah.
What did you start at? 30k in your bank, was it?
I had 20, now I'm at 30.
Oh,
So
okay.
I still need to roll a 2 if I lose against the chaos. Um,
Ouch.
but yeah, it's kind of fun actually killing those old arcade games you used to play as kids, so nobody can play Galaga now.
I don't think I ever even played Gallagher. Let's have a look what his names are. Where are they?
I have an arcade machine in my room, and on the side is actually a picture of Galaga. I could actually turn it on and play right now if I wanted to.
Not right now, you're a bit busy.
Oh, I'm a bit busy, but we got 3 games left to talk about.
Indeed. I was just checking the names. I remember the X-Men one. That's
Mhm.
Burger Time.
So, Burger Time, that's a fun game. It's on the game, my arcade game machine as well.
Okay, never heard of
Anyways, going on. The next game we have is the Lethal Leaves, the second halfling team, coached by Malt, the winning coach of last season, versus Valhalla, here we come, the Norse team, coached by Blonde Cow. Now, this game was an absolute massacre. You would think the Norse one, no.
No,
The
Vault Top coming
halflings
out on top.
did
I
illegal
saw-
things to these Norse. And I think that's the most armor breaks we had in season one, or sorry, the first week.
Week 1.
Absolutely destroyed the Norse. It's illegal in all 50 states, by the way.
I had a look
Just
at before.
Just when you check the numbers on the result page, you can definitely see what the halflings were doing. 3 expulsions. That's a lot.
Yeah, they were crowd surfing. Which, considering they're the ones who have out Frenzy, and the North has Frenzy, that definitely should be in the other way.
Expulsions is not crowd surfing. That's fouling. They were fouling.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fouling. I know,
my
I know,
bad.
I know. That's
No.
what I'm exactly.
No.
That's
Yeah,
what
I
I
was saying
meant.
it to DF.
I got it wrong. I thought that was throwing someone else out of the pitch.
No.
No. Malt is a very good player. He definitely knows how to place his halflings. So even though he's fighting against Norse with 3 strength and block, he was definitely taking him down. He did have 3 trees, so that definitely did melt the line quite a bit.
Yeah.
Norse couldn't really get away from that.
And
Fortunately,
Mold also got lucky that his MVP goes to a tree that is part of his team and not a star player.
what is
Have you looked at
worse
the stats?
about that, though? I'm looking at the stats right now. But
North
if you
didn't touch the ball.
he tried to pick it up, I'm sure
Oh
he
my
just couldn't pick
God.
it up.
He
If
has
you go to the dice
0
rolls,
possession.
I actually saw
the Norse
few.
did suffer 3 lasting injuries. 2 were missed next game,
Oh.
and he's got a niggling injury on his runner.
Look
Yeah.
at the Lee's block die. 5 skulls, 16 pounds. So yeah, nothing
Yeah.
was in his favour as well, though.
Exactly. The Norse tried to pick up the ball twice, failed both times. So it was just really, really
Yeah.
rough. And no, Nuffle was 100% behind Malt
Oh yeah.
because Nuffle knows that Malt won last season. So y'all are trying to stay buddy.
He doesn't need the extra
Let's
help.
hope he's gonna run out of his luck soon, because that's insane. That's huge numbers.
And the fact that Oak and Dagger got 9 SPP and got double 5.
Leveled up 3 men.
What's
Oh my
worse
God.
is Oak and Dagger has that plus movement now, so it
Yeah.
doesn't even need to roll to stand up. It'll stand up, making it a very lethal tree.
Mhm.
Just hope for the take route and hope for the best. But again, when you're playing against Malt, there's going to be that halfling master chef, and you're going to suffer. So make sure you kill those halflings as much as you can.
No,
I
because then you
also
get some
wanted to
more.
say.
He'll buy more, but with less halflings, there's less likely for him to foul against you.
True.
I also wanted to say that I saw the first few minutes of this match, and Norse, who's playing the Norse, I just forgot.
Blanco.
Blanco. So he got really unlucky, I believe. He had some really he did some bit of a risky move, but got more unlucky than he wanted to, and lost some players very early in the game.
Yeah, it was a brutal match. It is on YouTube if you wanted to watch it. But again, it's illegal to watch that game if you're under 18 years old. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah,
it was definitely a brutal match, and again, the injury dice were definitely in favor of the halflings. So let's hopefully the Norse can recoup into their upcoming games. They should be able to bounce back from that. But just kind of take this one, move on. The Norse did manage to only get 8 SPP out of it, so they'll just have to kind of work with what they have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no spoilers, but they have played the next game. And
yep, we can't say anything yet, so we'll move on to the next match.
Indeed.
Which this is the match I was actually talking about. With you may have won the battle, but you lost the war. It's the Nippon Rakishis, the ogre, which are coached by the Black Templar, versus Timmy's Tomtings, which is the Khemri team, coached by Lorbass. And as you see, the Khemri won 1-0. But like I said, you may have won the battle, but they lost the war.
Yeah, I'm just hovering the two deaths right now.
The ogres knocked down the Tomb Guardians, and then the Snotlings fouled those Tomb Guardians.
That's why I never understood why they gave Decay. Because Decay is so cruel.
It's their nega trait. That's what it is. They do have regeneration. Yeah. Did not help. First one was dead. Failed the regeneration. The second one was dead minus AV. Failed the regeneration. So the Khemri did win the battle. They lost the war. So now they have 2 Tomb Guardians who do have SPP, but not a lot going for them at the moment.
No.
Meanwhile, the ogres, they don't care about winning. They don't care about the ball. They are Despair 2.0 because they just want to cause that pain.
And you can tell it wasn't even, those injuries weren't even from punching, because he only actually got 7 star player points all match.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're definitely from the foulers.
The Snotlings are definitely the scariest foulers because, again,
so
the first result on both of those were dead, and then the second one was dead, and then the minus AV. Yeah. So, not kill those Snotlings as fast as possible, because if they put their boot in you, it's going to hurt.
Little bit.
Okay, I just want to say, compared through all these matches we just run through, usually you'll see that one team has a huge amount of armor breaks and the second has some, but has some other stuff. Mm-hmm. This game is both teams have quite a lot of armor breaks.
But
on both
then
sides.
When you consider the ogres have Noblars, that's probably why the Tomb Kings were caught up.
Of course,
a little bit.
But the whole thing is that even breaking that armor, they had no lasting injuries on Snotlings.
No.
I think there was 2 Snotlings there on the pitch at the end of the game, something close to that. But they were either KO'd or badly hurt. There was no missing next game, no niggling, no strength down. I mean, the strength down on Nobbler does nothing, so that's actually a good thing.
Yeah, they're only strength 1, so...
Yeah, it's like an Agi down on a Saurus.
Hang on, in Blood Bowl 2016, if a stat hits 0, you die. That's not the thing in here.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Also, I'm just checking the stats on the ogres, and they had really good success rate on their bonehead. 46
they had
and 11 failures.
They had a really good time with the boneheads. Actually, 80%. That's actually below average.
Yeah.
You wanted it to
It'd be
be
about
around
86.
83, 86, 87. Yeah. It's about 13% per die. So he was actually worse off on his boneheads than 4.
Not by a lot, but slightly.
Not by a lot. I've played games where I've had 54% success rate, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't like this game anymore.
No, you can't
So
play the game at that point.
I mean, all things considered, the Ogres can be that team that will make or break your
Holy
future.
shit, I've just seen his ones. 26s. 26.
Yeah, that's a lot of ones.
Yeah.
Nuffle was not having it for the Ogres, but again, those 6s were rolled where it matters, and there's 2 dead Tomb Guardians now.
Yeah, they were rolled an injury.
Yeah. But I mean, all things considered, if you look at the Camry's dice, they rolled well. I think they picked up the ball without someone with sure hands. They all have Agi 2, and they managed to score with that. So the Camry do have the ability to bounce back and form into a really strong team, but they're missing the gimmick of the Camry team, which is those 4 big guys. Now they only have 2, and they don't even have Mighty Blow. And I think their next game is up against the Undead, and they have the 2 mummies with Mighty Blow, which will definitely make an impact. But again, not going into predictions.
Nope. But, yeah.
This game was definitely, by Total War terms, this is definitely a Pyrrhic victory. You may have won the battle, but you're definitely losing the war.
Well, now, as you said, he can sort of pivot into a different build.
Mm-hmm. Because if he could get his blitzers with the block, if he could get him some good skills to actually benefit them, he can definitely come out as one of the stronger teams, because Lord Bass knows how to play.
Oh, he's dominating the Nuffle.
I'm not sure. I just forgot the Camry got quite a lot of SPP. I'm not sure. Are some of those SPPs on the dead guys? Or
nope.
Nothing
was on the dead guys.
Okay, so at least Camry
actually
got
worked out.
The SPP.
No levels, but decent SPP.
Mm-hmm. Which will kind of go into a fun little project that me and Roger Death have been working on that we'll actually talk about after our next game.
Yeah, we got one more game to do.
Because of kind of how things have rolled out. But the last game, unless does anybody have anything they'd like to say about that game? Any closing statements?
Yeah. Good luck, Lobass. Hopefully you lose
good
the
luck,
next 2
Bass.
before I play you.
Good. All right. But the last game is Mass's Bastards, which are the dwarves coached by Mass, versus the Masses of Warhammer.
Yep.
The High Elf team, coached by that dirty elf-stealing coach, Oathbreaker. There we go.
And this is the, I believe, only draw in.
This was the only draw in week 1. And like the whole thing is, the armor breaks do look like they belong. The 3 armor breaks by the High Elves, and the 9 armor breaks by the dwarfs.
Considering the ball position, I would also say they didn't aim for the scoring.
No, the ball positioning.
I watched this match, and
the dwarves definitely had everything kind of blocked under control. There's actually a highlight from this match of Mass just throwing a band into the wind, making a 6+ dodge with a dwarf and knocking down the elf who had the ball, probably negating the only ability to score in this entire game.
Yeah, he shouldn't have even attempted it, but he did, and it worked.
He had to use a reroll for it. Yeah. But it's in the highlights. If you want to go to the Discord, go to the highlights. You can actually see that play happen. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to set up the show on stream, I'm afraid.
Mass is a newer coach, so he's still kind of learning the game. And so you can say it's beginner's luck or all that stuff. He's definitely going to get better, and as he gets better, his team is going to get nastier and nastier.
I'm saying beginner's ignorance.
And he also got 1 more SPP than Oath.
Yes, he did. Oath did have 3 passes and 3 successful catches, but that wasn't enough to negate the 2 injuries that he suffered, which were, I believe, both only badly hurts. So it was a pretty uneventful game. It was probably the most well, I wouldn't say the most boring, just not a whole lot happened.
Yeah,
The
I would
SVP on the High Elves is very spread out, and compared to all the other elf teams,
Yeah,
is in bottom place. So
Yeah.
Oathbreaker, you gotta do something with your elves, man.
Yeah, I points to the dwarves that they're actually able to hold elves, because for agility, like you can try and risk the run around them, and that's usually what you want to do
And you,
against really slow teams. And again, like I clap to the dwarf team that they are actually able to hold them off.
yeah. So they shouldn't have been, as we discussed, the highlight miracle play that allowed that to happen.
I mean, again, as the only draw of the first week, it was a really good match from
Yeah.
a experienced coach. Definitely one of the better ones. And then also Mass, who's kind of newer to the game, definitely learning, definitely getting favorable results. A draw is not a loss. You suffer no injuries. Your team
No.
is definitely going to get better and better as you move forward. Even though it was just kind of a draw, all things considered, your dice will definitely improve.
Yeah, very
Um,
even on the block dice, even like
Yeah,
nine
even on the
pounds,
block
eight.
dice,
all the
but
dice are
it
actually fairly
was
even.
all things considered. I believe it was a nuffling against
Yeah,
Oathbreaker.
yeah. Again, miracle play. Stop the touchdown.
All right. Any closing things on that game?
Oath, you deserve it. You're an oath breaker.
Romkey
Basically-
should have been high elves.
What? I would recommend you don't play elves whatsoever. Remove
Oh.
them from the game.
Oh,
I'm stuck
that's
with them
dirty.
for 25 weeks plus playoffs.
All
so
right,
too late.
Speedy. I mean, I think we're facing each other in like week 21 or something. But
I'm facing it
Yeah.
next week.
I wonder when I'm gonna play Diafall. I don't know.
This
I
week.
don't know, like next week, this week.
This week.
I don't know. Like maybe
All right.
like a few hours from now, or maybe on Tuesday. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll sort that.
All
First,
right.
do we want a quick look at the Hall of Fame, or do we want to go straight into power rankings?
Well, I don't think we usually look at Hall of Fame at this point, do we?
I don't know.
But
I do it
no.
in my streams, not the analysis.
Yeah, no, I don't think we normally do that analysis. It's too early to say. There's some people up there, but it's still going to be kind of give and tug for a while.
Okay, I shall put
However,
it onto the Hall of the leaderboard then, and we can discuss the power rankings.
So me and Roger Death have come up with something as kind of a side project, which is the power rankings for the league. It's not the actual rankings for your team, but based on what you achieved, where you're at, what you did last game, and where you were at last week, which this is week 1, kind of determines your ranking. So even though technically with my horrible loss, my ranking in the league as just like a status point is at 25, but my actual placement might not actually be in last place, if that makes any sense. Are you able to pull it up on your screen, Diaphel?
I might be able to. I hadn't prepped it. But can you, just a feel?
If you aren't able to, I know that I'll be able to post it into the actual Discord. There's a new channel for the power rankings that's underneath the other games.
And put it as a comment in the video, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I just
Hmm.
don't have the ability to create emotes yet. Once I do that, I'll post it. It'll have basically
Just trying to-
my opinion and Roger Death's opinion of where the teams are placed. We're not placing any emphasis on the actual the team, the racial part of it. So that means that like the halflings aren't always going to be in last place. The ogres are going to be in last place. No, anything can happen. It's just a matter of what did you achieve, what did you get, how are you going to do, what's your next matchup like.
Oh, there we go.
So it's just kind of a fun thing to have.
It is
And
on the stream. I think.
Awesome. Yep. So it's just kind of a fun thing I threw together with Roger Death's help. Kind of give me some pointers. I wrote them all up, just kind of explaining, okay, so this player did this, where they rank. As we go forward, they'll definitely have some more variances. It'll have what were they last week, what's your change from last week, moving forward, and kind of some information about either the last matchup or what they're doing going to the next match. It's just kind of a fun thing to have. It's definitely a side project and definitely something that I think may get people more excited about the league and what is going on, what is happening around the Blood Bowl League. So I wanted to kind of throw this together. I do have a kind of a paragraph for each of the 26 teams if you want to scroll down a bit. We're not going to read them because I know the power rankings are more of a read document rather than like a video streamed document.
I agree.
But
definitely talk a bit and then put it in the comments so viewers can actually grab it when they want.
And it just kind of has a ranking on it. I'm keeping biases out of this. It's more of stats, where they're at, what they have going for them. So like even though like a team might got more SPP, they might be missing a blitzer in the next game, like the case of the humans. So they're like ranked a little bit lower than like the orcs who got less SPP, but they're also missing like an orc lineman, but that orc lineman doesn't have block, so it's less detrimental.
Just a bit.
So it's just kind of a fun thing to kind of go through, see where your team is ranked, see where you progress, things like that. So it's just kind of like a fun little thing. It's not meant to like, again, it's just the game. It's not meant to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. It's just kind of fun to have. Just like the NFL has. Usually my team's always in last place, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no. I was Britain here. Don't do NFL, sorry.
You do like power rankings of like soccer, football teams or something like that? Oh, you don't watch football?
Only Liverpool's big matches.
See? This would be like the actual ranking season and kind of where they're at. But it's just kind of a good thing to like read, go through, see what it's at. Once I get the ability to create emotes, I'll actually post this right into the Discord for everyone's viewing pleasure.
Fair.
But
definitely going to make it accessible to people who aren't in the league.
Exactly. It's just kind of a fun little thing I threw together.
I suppose we are to expect objective view, not something like, I don't like this team. I want to put it on.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Oh no, like he said, the Skaven made his profiles look silly. He's kept it.
No, it's going to be free. It's definitely going to be unbiased, and it's going to be unbiased from the view of the team, because like I'm going to give Oathbreaker shit for taking the High Elves, but I'm not going to rank his team lower because of that. Or same thing with Romkey, because he didn't fight for the High Elves. He took Amazons instead. I'm not going to rank his team lower because of that. I'm actually kind of ranking it as teams, how they're playing, what they're getting out of their games, things like that. So I'm even going to keep racial biases out of it.
Like a true journalist,
of course.
Definitely keep racial out of
it. Exactly.
No, this team won 10 games in a row, but their kids doesn't fit their skin complexion, so I gotta count some points out of that.
Not really. So, like, all things considered, though, there might be a team who won, but they might be below teams who lost last week. And it's just because of how their team is, like, shaping up, how it's looking. So, like, for example, Lord Bass's Tomb Kings. They lost 2 Tomb Guardians. That's a huge blow that is definitely going to hurt their team for the longest time. So all things considered, their power ranking, they're in last. It's just, it's kind of how it happens.
I was scrolling through trying to find them, yeah. You said it was last, I could have got it on the screen quickly.
They did win their game, but again, that win cost them. They're going to have to build their team back up. Who knows? They might defeat the undead. They might defeat the team after. They might have the ability to just keep on pushing forward, in which case they'll move up the rankings. This is just kind of where they're placed right now because of what happened in their first.
Okay.
So it's just kind of a fun thing to read. Again, I will try to post it on Discord as soon as I can. And if you ever have any questions,
just a question: these power rankings are gonna be on weekly basis, or they're gonna get updated automatically after each match?
Well, we're keeping track of it after each match is played. Spike bot being down kind of sucks.
Okay.
But as the game is played, we'll update it. What it has right now is for week 1.
Yeah,
Once week 2 finishes, then we'll update it. We'll come out with a week 2 document.
Okay, I just wanted something like, is it there gonna be like maybe week to week comparison when you could see like, okay, this team is ranked this this
Yeah,
high,
so
but in the previous week you could see that he is like number
There's
20 or
going to
something.
be a
the
change
left,
value. So so there's going to be like right now you see like, for example, your team is on screen right now. We have the Rostoblin. Right now they're ranked 22 because of that niggling injury, and you're going into the number 1 ranked team. So you're kind of at a disadvantage. Which, I mean, kind of happens. But like all things considered, like depending on how that game shapes up, your ranking might improve or it might drop. It probably won't drop, but depending on like, okay, next week, let's say you're rank 20, we'll have a change column that shows that you went up 2 rank.
Yeah, you could even make a little graph,
Yeah.
a line
At the end
graph
of it, we
showing
could
it.
definitely make a line graph show where each team was placed, where they're kind of going, things like that. And it could be kind of fun to see how the teams kind of vary week to week. And again, it's all out of good fun. It's not meant to like say, oh, because of Valhalla, the Norse team is ranked 23, they're garbage, they're going to lose every single game. No, that's not it at all. It's just kind of fun, kind of comparing the teams because the ranking is just a number, the rating. So like 1 through 26, that just shows okay where you're at. Where this kind of takes into a little bit more objectively.
Okay, I'm just doing a quick scroll through
And
now. So
I have the logos for each of the team, which does make it a little bit cooler in my opinion.
yeah, even though we got duplicate frogs.
Yep, we're gonna do red and green arrows. That's not work for you, Roger. I do most of the work.
Yeah, the actual team that doesn't change. Yeah, I agree, Glad.
Yeah.
That's
No, it's just kind of a really fun thing we threw together. I
May-
kind of wrote up a paragraph explaining what happened, what they're going into, things like that. But I will get that posted to the Discord as soon as I can. But other than that, that's all that we had for you today.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any closing comments?
Just regarding the frogs, make it even. Don't give them any frogs. Just give the coat of arms around and remove the frog.
What?
What?
You know, like the all around, like you have the all around coat of arms, like inside with the frog.
Uh-huh.
You just remove the frog and put the other thing in.
Not a coat of arms, is it? It's a frog with a red dot for some. Is that in game?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, what is called in England the herb, or like the what's the frog? What's inside? I'm sorry for that, but
Coat of arms?
Well, make it an egg.
yeah,
then.
coat of arms. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll think of something. Obviously, this is the first week we've done this. We'll work on it. Yeah, we'll post it. Keep it up to date on the comments for this video.
Comments to the video, comments in Discord, but yeah.
We could even revive the Reddit and put it there.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was a wonderful first week. I know it's holidays, so it was a longer week. We're back to the once a week per match setup. So it should be going a lot quicker, should be getting more of a buzz. We're not allowed to talk about it right now, but I think 3 matches have already been played.
Yep.
And going forward, good luck, and may all your blocking dice be POWs, and all your injuries be badly hurt.
That's
And
just against
all
me.
the good else die.
Nope, no one else does. But,
Yeah,
that's
other than
going to
that,
be it from us all. So, hope you have all enjoyed the week 1 analysis. Been a while. It's been Christmas. Hope you all had a good Christmas, by the way, and as always, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.
and don't die, yes, yes.
That too.